Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. Hello, world. Welcome to the Shannon Joy Show. We're broadcasting live from the Joy Virtual Studio right here in the beautiful Finger Lakes region of New York State. It is so great to be with all of you today. It is Monday, August 25th. We are broadcasting live right here on Rumble, on Twitter, Spreely TV, Roku TV, Apple TV, every podcast platform you can ever imagine. And we are adding platforms. This week, we have big news for the Shannon Joy Show, the Shannon Joy Show Network, and a new show that we are going to be launching, not this week, but next week, every Wednesday with one of your favorite guests here in the Shannon Joy Show, a live weekly show every Wednesday. We're going to be announcing that this Wednesday with a very special guest who you guys are going to absolutely love. It's going to be a brilliant collaboration right here on the Shannon Joy Show Network. We're also adding a major distribution partner as well. That's going to happen next week. So we are growing by leaps and bounds, reaching upwards over 1 million eyes and ears every single month. And we could not do it without all of you. 100% independent, not left, not right, not Democrat, not Republican, just the truth every day, straight up, no chaser, as we deal and grapple with the insane politics of the day. You see the headline today, Stressflation incoming. Coffee is up 25%, Veggies up 40%. Americans are grappling now with, yes, Trump's tariff taxes. And it's about to detonate on the American people. Big show today. We have a lot to go through in terms of the financials for the United States of America. And the report is, it is bad. So I have a couple great pieces. One from the Washington Examiner as we move towards fascism, straight up economic fascism. The buy-in of the United States government into a private United States corporation, Intel. This piece explains in a very detailed way how the distortions in the marketplace, it is government meddling with the natural free market economy that has caused so much of the pain that we are experiencing today, that we have been experiencing over the past 20 to 30 years. It is manipulations, external banking manipulations, external manipulations with our currency and the printing of money, manipulations as the government partners up with private corporations in an unholy alliance, which is, yes, fascism. We need separation of corp and state, and we need it now. This piece from Washington Examiner is a bombshell by David Hersanel. We're going to go through that today. Also, stressflation. Americans are now grappling with untenable rises in prices. And it's even more amazing as they are trying to shove this lie down our throat that this is a golden age economy and the best economy ever. Maybe it's great for Donald Trump's crony capitalists, every rat who sidles up in Washington, D.C. to negotiate a beneficial deal, whether it's subsidies or government contracts or putting out their competition or suppressing their competition, you name it, it's all right out there in our faces. And yeah, it's making a lot of people in the 1% very rich, but they're screwing you every single day. We're going to talk about that today on the Shannon Joy Show. But first, I do want to thank some of our sponsors. Towards the end of the show, 1 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to welcome once again good friend of the Shannon Joy Show, Dr. Chad Walding. He is with Native Path, and we are going to be talking about creatine as a vital part of your diet. Women too. It's not just for the muscle heads. So I cannot wait to have Dr. Chad in again. He's a great guest, a wealth of information. That's coming up at 1 p.m. Eastern time today, live on the Shannon Joy Show. We also have Derek Bros this week on the Shannon Joy Show, Sasha Latapova on Thursday, and of course, our special surprise guest on Wednesday for a big, big announcement about a big collaboration. Also, Vive Biotics. I want to start out, thank you to our sponsors here on the Shannon Joy Show, Colonial Metals Group, the Satellite Phone Store, Native Path, and of course, our friends over at Rumble and Perfect Origins. Vive Biotics is an amazing product that I have been using. It is not your ordinary probiotic pill. This is an amazing product that cancels out, in my case, almost 50 years of gut health neglect. If you are sluggish, tired, if you feel like your mind isn't as sharp as it could be, especially as you age, if you're bloating, you have low energy and just feeling off, well, it might have to do with what is going on in your gut. And the reality is that most Americans have an imbalance of good gut bacteria versus bad gut bacteria. This is where Vive Biotics from Perfect Origin comes into play. This has 15 different probiotic strains plus prebiotics, and they've put them through a special fermentation process that will actually allow it to survive the stomach acid and make it to your intestines where the magic happens. This is not in a pill form, it's in a droplet form, and I've been using it every day. There are so many benefits to Vive Biotics from Perfect Origin. It will help restore your gut's natural 85 to 15% good to bad bacteria balance. It can improve digestion, reduce bloating, and support regularity. It boosts your immune system and energy levels, supports healthy skin and even mood through that gut-brain connection. It's vegan, dairy-free, gluten-free, and of course, non-GMO. And there is a fantastic offer for the Joy audience. 100% money back guarantee. Go to www.perfectorigins.com/ViveBiotics/SJS. And Annie is going to pop that link right up there in the live chat. Get the deal today. I am really enjoying Vive Biotics. And yes, this is the first time I've ever done anything with my gut health. It's kind of a big deal. So I'm feeling great. We'll let you know how we're feeling in just a couple weeks. So thank you everyone for being with us on the live chat. You guys look amazing today. We have CJP Rumble with us, Karen Carpenter, 27. Great to see you. Chronozone 777. Be my Valentine. Absolutely. Rothan Walker is with us on the live chat, of course, and Nautical with the first comment of the day. Trump's cartel want to pick who the winners and losers will be. And yes, this is fascism, y'all. If it walks like a fascist and talks like a fascist and does fascistic things, well, it would be a fascist. And this is what we're seeing from this administration as he announces another business in private corporation officially, and is also, oh, by the way, marching into Chicago, I suppose, with his new police state military occupation. And, you know, he's going to copy and paste that from Chicago to New York to Baltimore to LA, among others, as he normalizes a police state here in the United States of America. That was the other news over the weekend that we're not even going to get to, time to talk about today, because we really have to look at what's going on with this economy. As you know, today the show topic is the finances. Stressflation is incoming. Coffee up 25%, veggies up 40% as Trump's tariff taxes detonate on American families. Vegetables, apparently, y'all, are now a luxury item. Coffee too. And the craziest thing about this round of utterly unnecessary economic destruction, okay, this is a demolition of our economy. They don't have to do this, is that Trump and his propagandists, mostly on the right, continue to proclaim this to be the best economy ever. And we're in a golden age, which absolutely no one with a functioning brain cell believes anymore. No one believes this. And this is bearing out in recent polling from a company called LifeStance Health. This is from Zero Hedge. They dropped this last week, and we have it linked into the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show, a piece written by Michael Snyder about the economic pain that is facing every American. At this stage, 83% of all Americans are experiencing now what we're calling stressflation as a result of Trumpflation. It's affecting most Americans, with 83% reporting financial stress driven by inflation, mass layoffs, the rising cost of living, and of course, recession fears. Okay, but rather than fix this and fix what is fundamentally wrong about the American financial system, mainly the meddling of the federal government, Trump is now blatantly engaging in full-scale fascism with the announcement of, as I mentioned, a 10% government stake in the tech corporation Intel, which is blown away in this piece in the Washington Examiner by David Harsanel. Trump has no business whatsoever taking stake in Intel, and it's only going to make things worse, especially as they continue to double and triple down on inflation. Oh, and as I mentioned, by the way, he's deploying the military police state to Chicago. It does seem that Donald is now embracing his new role. Remember, he's not even in charge, but he is embracing the role of a wannabe fascist dictator. And the question is, are we going to fall for it? Are we going to hitch our wagons to this jalopy? Okay. And are we going to let him do it? Are we going to let him run us into another lockdown 2.0 situation, only this time it's a military police state? Are we going to allow him to march his tanks and his troops into the streets of the United States of America and terrify average American citizens? Are we going to allow him to put his thumb on the scale of a natural economy and pick winners and losers, the people who, I don't know, come in and kisses, you know what, enough in Washington, D.C., completely distorting this market even further and crushing free market economies, which is basically the engine of innovation through competition. And also, it is a major factor in keeping prices low for the American people, because companies have to compete with each other. If governments are choosing corporate winners, then they get fat and lazy. Why? Because they don't have any competition. The government takes care of their competitors, wipes out all their competition, and they're free to gouge you every single day. This is like economics 101. But apparently the brainiacs, the right-wing movement, Con Inc., who have said the opposite, by the way, for the past 20 years, all of a sudden embrace this as like brilliant. It's crazy. Well, we're going to tell you the truth here today on the Shannon Joy Show. Let's start with Stressflation and a question to the audience. If you're watching live on Twitter, live on Spreely, if you're watching on Facebook or Substack, YouTube, or right here on our favored partners, our flagship partners over at Rumble, please pop it up in the live chat. Put it in all caps if you think of it. How are you dealing with Trumpflation? Is it causing stress for you and your family? What are you seeing at the grocery store? What are you seeing on Main Street? Are you a small business owner? Are you being crushed with a 25% increase in the price of coffee? What about all the mom and pop coffee shops out there who are operating on razor thin margins, right? What is 25%? Oh, and by the way, a backstop of Brazilian coffee. They're now canceling orders to the United States of America because of the tariff taxes. I cannot believe we even engaged with the liars in Con Inc., who tried to sell us this tariff package as if it wasn't a tax. Unbelievable. But we're just going to smash that myth today on the Shannon Joy Show. I see you, Opossum King, on the live chat. Mav 2022, I'm hearing that any business that uses chocolate is screwed at this point. Opossum King, mushroom coffee is good. Yeah, insane. Mav 2022, all my raw materials have skyrocketed if I can get them at all. I'm experiencing this every day in my life, guys. Every month, prices go up and up and up. And I can't imagine what people who are on fixed income, people who are retired, even the younger generation graduating from college, unable to get jobs. That's another big factor here. Let's go to this piece in Zero Hedge. It is linked up in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. The question here, are you drowning too? Vegetables are up 38.9%, coffee up 25%, and electricity prices are rising twice as fast as inflation. Okay, so no matter what Alex Jones or Sean Hannity or Mark Levin or Fox News or anyone in Con Inc. is telling you, the reality on the ground for every American is very stark and very real. And now it is showing up in the actual stats. This was authored by Michael Snyder via the Economic Collapse blog and featured at Zero Hedge. Zero Hedge right now, fantastic source. I've been using them more and more. They're not afraid to tell their audience the truth about what's happening in this economy. Washington Examiner has also been very good. Very good. So these two pieces are linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. If you want to go through, look at all the links, pull up those links. I mean, this is the reality of what is going on. He goes on in this piece, there are so many people right now out there who feel like they are drowning because no matter how hard they try, they simply cannot make ends meet. And there's not enough money for everything. Unfortunately, we are being warned to brace ourselves for even more inflation in the months ahead. And this was explained brilliantly by one of our regular show guests, Bonk de Carnivore. We have not even begun to see the impact of Trump's tariff taxes. We have now been seeing the calm before the storm. And this is because what companies have done in the past few months to deal with the tariffs, right? A lot of them made orders very early because they knew that the tariffs were coming. Those orders, that supply line has run out, and we are now going to see that reflected in our prices. He writes here, as of late May, only 6% of tariff costs had been passed on to consumers. By the end of July, the number was 22%. But that is shifting rapidly as manufacturers, retailers, and small businesses cannot shoulder the load indefinitely. They could feasibly only do it for a few months. They've been able to drag this out longer because of Trump's chaotic will I or won't I governance by which he retreats on tariffs to provide pockets for organizations, again, picking winners and losers, to resupply to an extent before he goes off the deep end and tariffs something else more heavily. If you plot this out, writes Bonk, the consumer burden of tariffs will reach the 67% mark in October and will cross 70% before Thanksgiving. Ultimately, that number will reach 100% once domestic producers complete what is known as the spillover effect of raising their own prices to slightly lower than imported prices because of market dynamics, something that we will all experience next year. Now, he also has the counter arguments from the yapping lunatics who are trying to put lipstick on this pig of a president. We'll get into that in a minute, but here are the stats. The real figures were released on vegetables, coffee, and energy, right? A 38.9% increase in prices for fresh and dry vegetables from June to July was the major driver of a higher index for final demand goods, things that are done and ready to be sold to a consumer, as opposed to things that go into a later production process. Now, apparently, this rise in vegetables, vegetables are a luxury item now. This rise in vegetables was the largest spike we have ever witnessed in a summer month ever. These figures go back to 1947. And there's a link there to that chart. Per the Bureau of Labor Statistics, it's also the largest monthly increase ever recorded in a summer month, June to August, in figures that go back to 1947. Let's not forget coffee. That's veggies. Let's go to coffee. The price of coffee went up by 25% in just 3 months. And that was before coffee exports from Brazil were hit with a 50% tariff tax from Donald, the fascist in chief. The price of coffee was already up before a 50% tariff on Brazil, the top coffee importer to the US, went into effect last week. They sharply rose 25% over the past 3 months, according to inflation data released last week. Reuters reported last week also that Brazilian coffee experts have started seeing postponements in US shipments. Now, this also has the impact of strengthening relationships between our importers, foreign countries who import into the US, and our largest competitors like China and Russia. And this is already happening. This is part of what is called the doom loop or the doom cycle. As our exporting partners and other countries begin to see the United States as too chaotic, too expensive, cost prohibitive, they will then begin to alter who they do business with. And they will begin to strengthen their trade ties and their bonds with countries like China and Russia. It's unbelievable to think that so many of our trading partners are now looking to China as a more stable and better trading partner than the United States of America because of the unnecessary, erratic, and frankly crazy actions of this lunatic in the Oval Office. It's unbelievable. So vegetables and coffee. But wait, there's more. Air conditioning and energy. Apparently, air conditioning your home is also becoming a luxury. Electricity prices have been rising twice as fast as the overall rate of inflation. And some senior citizens must now choose between paying their electricity bill and paying for medication. There are a whole host of reasons for this, namely Trump's embracing of the techno fascists, the major tech corporations who want to build thousands of Manhattan-style data collection centers, which are for the purpose of controlling, surveilling, and monitoring you. That is the only purpose. But those data centers are going to go in and suck up all of the energy in regions across the United States of America. That is how much energy they use. That is now, as our energy is being diverted to the expansion of the techno-fascist state by Donald Trump and his techno-fascist partners, that is now putting pressure on the energy grid, which is leading to skyrocketing electricity prices, which you have experienced, I have experienced. Okay, we know what is right in front of our faces, despite what Donald Trump and his yapping clowns in conservative media. They're such idiots. I cannot even believe how dumb these Con Inc. media people sound right now. They're absolute idiots. They are cheering and clapping like seals for fascism, a fascist police state, and it's happening at a breakneck pace. Crickets. The only people talking about this are the Democrats. All of a sudden, the Democratic Party, the New York Times, and MSNBC sound like, I don't know, the Austrian School of Economics as they get back to reality insanity because they don't like the guy in the Oval Office. Now, if it was Biden, they would have nothing to say about it. But see, that is the game we play. That is the doom loop of American politics. That's why we always get the short end of the stick, guys, because we've allowed ourselves to be divided, Democrat, Republican. And when our guy is in office, we don't have the balls to call it like it is. And that goes for Democrats and the left-wing news media, as well as Republicans and the right-wing news media. Disgusting. Across the country, electricity prices have jumped more than twice as fast as the overall cost of living in the last year. That's especially painful during the dog days of summer, of course, when air conditioners are working overtime. In Pembroke Pines, Florida, a power bill can reach $500 a month. There are seniors living down here and they're living paycheck to paycheck. They can barely afford prescriptions, these energy costs are unbelievable. As our leaders were borrowing trillions upon trillions of dollars that we did not have, many warned that this was going to cause rampant inflation, but no one listened. Everyone took the checks, and now here we are, not addressing the fundamentals, not doing anything meaningful. The Trump administration adopting the entire platform and strategy and tactics and techniques and legislation and bills that the Biden administration did in the first 4 years. Only they called it Biden inflation back then on the right. It's really sad. It's really sad. These are rat bastards. They are terrible, terrible people doing horrifying things in Washington, D.C. And it's happening very fast. And, the tragic part here is that, a political party, a political movement that claimed to be about the Constitution and free markets and understood this stuff like literally 8 months ago, can't see it right in front of their faces. That is the epitome of a cult. These people are in mass formation, cult worship of this guy, Donald Trump. And my question is, do you really want to put all your eggs in that basket? I don't think so. When we come back, I want to get your comments. Put them up on the Rumble live chat right now. If you can, please put them in all caps so I can read them to you. We're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue this discussion right here on the Shannon Joy Show. One of the missions here at the Shannon Joy Show is to stay healthy. We need to be as naturally healthy as humanly possible so that we can stay out of the medical industrial complex. We don't want to be on pharmaceutical products. We don't want our bodies to be susceptible to viruses or anything that they are subjecting us to. We don't want to have to rely on the medical industrial complex or pharmaceutical companies in order to exist and survive. And that means daily, like a lifestyle of healthy living and getting the nutrients that we need. And as you guys know, collagen is a regular part of my daily routine for health. It's also now a part of my husband, devastatingly handsome Dr. Joy's daily routine as well. And this is because it is known as the crucial building block for your bones, your joints, muscles, tendons, and ligaments, as well as your skin, hair, and nails. So as we age, we just stop producing. We don't stop producing collagen, but it really slows down. You need to put it back in your body. And this is why daily collagen is so very important. And my favorite collagen, of course, is Native Path Collagen. Why? Because it is the best. It is the cleanest. It is 100% grass-fed bovine collagen. So no plant-based anything here. It has one ingredient, nothing else is added. It's hydrolyzed collagen, which is the best kind. It dissolves perfectly into any liquid, hot or cold. It's that clean. It also has only the types 1 and 3 collagens. And as I mentioned, it's sourced only from very, very happy cows, happy grass-fed, free-range bovine cows. So no marine, egg, or chicken sources at all. It is also the lowest cost on the market per serving with a 365-day money-back guarantee. You will not get better collagen for a lower price point than you will with Native Path, but you have to go to my site, which is getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. That is getnativepathcollagen.com/joy for 45% off. And yes, 95 day? What did I say? 65 day, 365 day money back guarantee. You can send them back empty containers if you don't like it, but you're going to love it. So make sure you get your discount today. Go to getnativepathcollagen.com/joy. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. And I want to go to the live chat. You guys have a lot to say about how Trump's tariff taxes are impacting your life. Karen Carpenter, 27, has something to say. What do we have here? Let me take a look. Buskman, thank you, on the live chat. A pastor friend of mine runs a diner with his wife. They are feeling it, Shannon. And yes, I have talked to small business owners on a regular basis about the impact of these tariff taxes, and it's devastating. Absolutely devastating. Karen Carpenter, 27, has this to say: electricity price rises are due to data center and AI demands and will only get worse. Our power has gone out twice in the last 24 hours. Unbelievable, Karen Carpenter. So here you have a situation where the Trump administration is hitting you from every angle. They are pummeling you with tariff taxes levied every couple days from this administration and being passed on to consumers in the form of rising inflation. They are also continuing with the profligate spending and printing money, which is also contributing to the rising cost of consumer goods in inflation. And then in a third way, they are also ramping up Stargate, and that is the massive expansion of the digital police state, building AI centers all over the country. And that has the impact of limiting the supply of energy and resulting in higher energy prices. Everywhere you turn, Donald Trump is hitting us with body blow after body blow after body blow, and handing over government contracts and trillions of dollars to his cronies, the people that are connected to him in Washington, D.C. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. So that was from Karen Carpenter, MAV 2022. They want to get people out of their homes into smart cities so they can route the energy to their surveillance state. Absolutely, MAV. We have gone into great detail about the 15-minute digital surveillance freedom cities that Donald Trump wants to move Americans into. And one of the ways to do that is to just make it impossible to survive anywhere else, make it too expensive. You will drive out everyone and they'll be forced to live in pack and stack housing, one on top of another within a 15-minute zone under complete digital surveillance for everything. Okay? That is the goal. That is their mission. These people are crazy. These people are nuts. Sam, I am. What the heck are you talking about? There's no increase in anything. Nothing has gone up for me. Okay, Sam, tell yourself that. All right? You're living in bizarro world, and it's probably because you have devoted all of your brain cells to worshiping your golden idol Donald Trump, and you just cannot believe that he would do anything to impact you. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. That's how these people are. Karen Carpenter, 27, with another comment. Oh no, we'll go to, yes, I've been hammering my podcast partners to stop using AI or limit using AI and feeding the need for data centers and our own demise. You know, AI is not necessarily bad in and of itself. I mean, what the money is in mass surveillance, right? They essentially, this is why the what any rise in the stock market is 100% driven by tech companies, because essentially the new 21st century economy is one in which they don't need humans anymore because the robots are going to do everything, right? But they do need to control us and corral us and, make sure that we are providing them with endless amounts of data for data processing. And so that's where all that movement is coming in. And it has nothing to do with helping the American people, right? Like, you can use AI and it can be helpful in certain aspects, but it's artificial. It's not real intelligence. It can never match a human. And so what we really need to do is just make sure that they're not able to build these data centers. Nautical. What do we have here? Oh no, let's go to Be My Valentine. My daughter's future mother-in-law had to move to another state as she could not afford house insurance in Florida. CJP Rumble. Now they are block granting data center cooperation into federal funds, which require sacrificing or overstepping local zoning organization and zoning boards. Guys, it is coming fast, and we have to be ready with a firewall at the local level. I haven't seen any resistance yet, none whatsoever, because everyone's too busy Trump humping, especially on the right. Mrs. Lovely, I was at my dentist the other day, and the office manager and I were talking about the economy. She was hoping that Trump had a plan to fix everything, but is recognizing now that that is not happening. He's a total liar. He's good at something. He's a brilliant con artist. Probably the best con artist I've ever seen in my life. And he's a great actor, right? He's playing the role. We know that there are forces larger than Donald Trump at play here. But he's laughing all the way to the bank. And I just feel really bad for the chumps that actually believe what he's selling. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Bonk the Carnivore has this to say. You hear it all the time. The tariffs are working. Foreign countries are paying the tariffs. Economists were wrong. Tariffs don't call inflation. That's totally BS, as we've explained today in the show. And he goes off to say, if your counter argument is that Trump is playing 4D chess by the stops and starts of the tariffs, you're wrong. Imported products are currently trending 5% more expensive than originally predicted pre-tariff in anticipation of a tariff strategy, and domestic goods are trending 3% up in price. And that was sourced from Cavallo. Cavallo's study indicates that organizations are going to slow bleed pass-through increases to boil the frog in the pot in an effort to sneak the inflation in onto the consumers. The issue, of course, is that even if the tariffs are one day reversed, because companies are going with the slow boil method, they won't lower prices to match, as the consumers will have gradually become accustomed to higher prices. You'll just have less. You'll have nothing. You'll own nothing, and you'll be happy because at least your guy's in office, or at least you're not locked in, to a COVID lockdown. It's insane. Absolutely insane. This piece is from the Washington Examiner. In addition to having untenable inflation, okay? And this is unnecessary, right? There are so many things that we could do to combat this, especially getting the government out of the business of being involved in the free markets. And so radically slashing spending from the federal government, actually not doging, but actually getting rid of large agencies, getting rid of the government picking winners and losers and creating monopolies for pharmaceutical companies, tech companies, energy companies, manufacturing companies, right? Because what happens there is those companies then become fat and happy and lazy. They don't have to actually work for your business because there's only one game in town. The federal government has helped put their competitors out of business. Well, the only thing that keeps prices down in a natural economy is pressure from competition. But if Trump is busy granting one monopoly after another monopoly, which is, by the way, fascism, then there will be no solution to this. Absolutely no solution. Catherine Austin Fitts would also say, you know what? We should actually audit the federal government and find that $27 trillion that they stole from the American people. And this is a second piece that I linked in the show notes of the Shannon Joy Show. And these are listed under my top headlines for August 25th, 2025. Trump has no business taking a stake in Intel. And so the answer to all of the problems that they created in the first place is fascism, y'all. Let's just, nationalize. Let's get the United States government, because they're so good at managing their books, right? The most responsible and best business people in the world are in Washington, D.C., right? I mean, they're very fiscally responsible. They make really great decisions about the economy, right? So let's just hand them the economy in a very ugly public-private partnership, which is fascism. And this also was reported over the weekend. CJP Rumble Solari report had a 2.5-hour broadcast yesterday. I cannot recommend an organization more than the Solari report. That is Catherine Austin Fitz's organization. I am a subscriber there, $7 a month. Okay. At least it was last time I signed up. The best reports, the best financial information. If you want to not only survive what these rat bastards are doing to us in the next, few years, but thrive, like actually move into a place where you are thriving in the economic demolition that is happening around us, you need to subscribe to the Solari Report. CJP Rumble, thank you for reminding me of that. A 2.5-hour broadcast. I'm sure it is a wealth of information about the reality of the economic situation. And as I mentioned, Zero Hedge is good. The Washington Examiner. Thank you very much to David Harsano for these like kind of basic words of truth. Trump has no business taking a stake in Intel. He asked the question in this piece, is the US government's taking a 10% stake in a semiconductor maker, Intel, a creative idea that has never been done before, as the White House press secretary, Carolyn Leavitt, recently told the press? Hardly. Governments have been nationalizing industries since governments have existed, y'all. In virtually every instance, the state takes power under the auspices of a national emergency. These days, of course, any inconvenience is a crisis in politics and a national emergency. So Donald Trump has decided to run the semiconductor industry through his new stakeholder partnership in Intel. By the way, Donald Trump is the number one. I think he's declared more national emergencies and issued more executive orders than any other president in U.S. history, or at least since, I believe, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Maybe he's catching up. I don't know. All right. But this president has never seen an emergency he doesn't love. And he's using extra constitutional, illegal executive powers that he does not have to take over large portions of major global corporations and national corporations, as well as, marching his military troops into Chicago. It's something of a quaint question, writes David, these days, to wonder under what constitutional authority, none, a president can unilaterally buy into a private company with taxpayer funds. So they're gambling with your money and my money once again. Surely if President Joe Biden had invested in a major energy concern under the power of, say, a climate emergency, Republicans would have melted down. They would have lit their hair on fire. Alex Jones would have been purple in the face, screaming at his audience all weekend long in an emergency broadcast because, Biden was nationalizing the economy, right? But when it's Trump, old Trumpy poo, they have no problems with it. Okay? Now, they would be, as I mentioned, lighting their hair on fire, and that would be exactly right. Socialism is the state running the means of production. Fascism, however, is a planned, state-run, top-down capitalist economy. And as Benito Mussolini wrote, fascism is the merger of the corporate state and the government state. All right? It's worse than socialism. It's worse than communism. It's another manifestation of the totalitarian isms, right? But this is uniquely fascist. He writes, Intel is already a welfare queen. See, this is how they started. These fat, lazy, terrible companies that are welfare queens. They exist on government subsidies and taxpayer dollars. And that's the only way they're able to exist. Elon Musk is one of the biggest welfare queens on the face of the planet. Peter Thiel. I mean, these guys are not great business people, okay? They're great politicians and they're con artists and they have absolutely no ethics or scruples whatsoever. They are vicious predators. I'll give them that. They're not good business people, though, unless your business is wiping out competition and using the boot of the federal government and the U.S. military to pave the way for you, to bulldoze the path for your crappy corporation. Disgusting. But yes, Intel was already a corporate welfare queen when Congress passed the CHIPS Act and the Science Act. It handed out $52.7 billion. Intel was the largest recipient of that, by the way. But you know what? A good company in the United States of America today knows how to piss away tens of billions of dollars, right? They're very good at that. They're not good at making anything or creating anything or making products that people can actually use. No, they just launder the money. It was handed the biggest chunk of CHIPS money. At last count, it got $8.5 billion from the government, not counting the $11 billion in low interest federal loans. Intel lost almost $19 billion in 2024. And as far as we can tell, the company did little to improve its prospects, with money leaving the Biden administration to brag about its new child care facilities rather than in any advances in manufacturing. And now Donald Trump is continuing in the footsteps of Joe Biden by dumping another welfare check onto this already welfare queen corporation. Intel's new massive chip making facility, originally set to open in 2025, is now looking to open in 2030 or 2031. It's unsurprising, as the company has spent a decade falling behind its competitor and making inferior products. It's unlikely that pumping more funds into a company is going to fix that culture. But of course, if Intel were a roaring success, it wouldn't need taxpayer funds. And this is what this government does. It makes it impossible for good corporations and good companies to survive. And the little guy, you and me. And then they reward their corrupt partners so that they can dig another hole so they can fill it back in, build a bridge to nowhere, provide absolutely nothing of worth, no innovation, nothing good. They just suck up the money, and we fall for it every single time. He goes on to say, taxpayers, when they are in stakes, when they're taking states and corporations, create all kinds of terrible distortions. And this is why we cannot get out of this doom loop, because the Trump administration is continuing the policies, the fascistic policies of the Biden administration. Hello, meet the new boss, same as the old boss. And this is why you're getting crushed by inflation. This is why small to medium-sized businesses cannot compete, not because they're not amazing, but because the boot of the federal government is on their necks in terms of inflation and market distortions as they hand money to their crony partners in tech companies, manufacturing companies, you name it. This piece is so good, so good. And I'm not going to have time to get to all of it because we have our special guests in here, but make no mistake, right? This economic pain is not abating. And I have a couple links for you in the show notes today. This is why every American, I cannot encourage you enough to get a precious metals strategy together today. Gold and silver, physical gold and silver, whether it's in a safe in your home or a safety deposit box, or it's backing up your retirement, a 401k or an IRA. Many people are now predicting, it's becoming more and more evident, that this administration is not fundamentally making the moves necessary to set this economy on a stable path. It only leads to one moment, and that is collapse. Do not be left holding the bag and believing what they're telling you from Washington, D.C., that this is some kind of golden age. It isn't. You need to protect your retirement. If you've been working your entire life, gold, silver, 4,000 years of human history, metals have been the most consistent and safest store of wealth. And they rise in direct correlation with the level of chaos and corruption within governments. And this has played out throughout time. Now is the time. Colonial Metals Group is the company that I trust for all of my metals purchases. I have a gold-backed IRA through Colonial Metals Group, and I also use them for all of my metals purchases. Please go to colonialmetals.com/joy today. That's colonialmetals.com/joy today. They have a special gold guide for the Joy audience. Also, a free safe with your first physical gold or silver purchase. And they're also offering up to $7,500 if you qualify in free silver. That is happening right now. colonialmetals.com/joy. That's colonialmetals.com/joy. Okay, we're going to pivot into health with our next amazing guest. Dr. Chad of Native Path is going to be joining us to talk about the health impacts that so many Americans are facing today. The mission is to keep you out of the doctor's office, to keep you out of the hospital. And that comes with chronic good health, taking care of your body every single day. And we're going to talk about creatine today, among other things, with our amazing friend, Dr. Chad of Native Path. So keep it tuned right here. We'll be back in a moment to continue this discussion on the Shannon Joy Show. Thank you to Satellite Phone Store, sat123.com/joy, sat123.com/joy. Without their amazing sponsorship, we couldn't bring the show to you every day. And it's always 10% off for every Joy viewer and listener with the promo code JOY. Why do we love them? Well, among other things, the satellite phones, the generators, the solar panels, everything you need for when the lights go out. They also have the most extensive line, one of the best quality lines of Faraday technology, beanies, bags, blankets, apparel. This is a way for you to reduce your body's exposure to EMF, electromagnetic frequencies. And as we know, talking to Dr. Williams, that exposure can impact your heart health. And so a regular usage of that type of technology, super helpful. Again, so thankful to the Satellite Phone Store, among our other sponsors. Huge thank you to our friends over at Colonial Metals Group. Again, when I say it's super easy, super easy. The staff is amazing. In fact, I just did my allocation with my representative over at Colonial Metals Group over the weekend. We allocated, I have a gold and silver backed IRA through Colonial Metals Group. And I learned so much. There are so many different ways for you to back your investments with physical gold and silver. But I mean, literally, like when you have the gold backed IRA, you pick whether you want the bars or the coins. Like there are a lot of different mixes. You can do 70-30 gold to silver, 100% gold, 100% silver, 50-50. The mix is, based on whatever you feel comfortable with. And then literally that order, like that physical gold and silver is sent, Colonial Metals Group procures it, and it is sent to a depository. My depository is in Delaware, and it sits there. It is not paper gold. It is not paper silver. This is the real deal, and it gives you the benefits of the IRA and the tax benefits that you can receive from an IRA without having to be connected to or linked to Wall Street or the stock market or even the federal government, right? Because a lot of people's pensions and IRAs and 401ks are invested in some of these institutions that many people rightly see are crumbling. This pulls you out. You're going analog completely. And I trust the folks over at Colonial Metals Group. So colonialmetalsgroup.com/joy is the URL. Please tell them that Shannon Joy sent you, because that's how they know that you came from this show, and they're just great. So thank you to Colonial. Again, always learning so much. Welcome back, everyone, to the Shannon Joy Show. So thrilled to welcome once again into the Joy Virtual Studio our good friend, Dr. Chad. He is with Native Path. He's an expert in holistic healing. He is a wealth of information. And I always love having you on the show because, as you know, health is a major theme on the Shannon Joy Show. Medical freedom. My mission, and I'm sure the mission of my audience, is to stay out of the medical industrial complex. I call it chronic good health. Stay out of the doctor's office. That comes with making lifestyle changes and make sure that you're getting enough sleep, enough sun, the right supplements. And that's really where this partnership with Native Path, which, by the way, Dr. Chad, I cannot tell you how thankful I am for Native Path. My entire family is on all of the products. We're all using them. I am using a variety of them now, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But time and time again, it is the cleanest, best quality, best price point products on the market, bar none. Nothing fancy. You guys just get it done right. And I really want to thank you for that, because I know you are a major driver in that quality control and making these products available to so many people. So thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you for saying all that. And, kind of what you're touching on is our philosophy, right? Like we recognize that there is a big medical complex, there's a big food complex, and humans are in the middle. And we've been getting a lot of bad information, and we're sort of stuck in this cycle of, we've got a symptom, here's a pill, and then we keep getting sicker and sicker. And it's really these last 100 years, you can point to any metabolic disease. It's all gotten worse over the past 100 years, despite what we think is good, despite our races for the cure and all our advances in technology and medicine. So, our mission is really to help get humans back in alignment with our natural biology, and really focusing on these basic principles of health, and then supplying people with the purest, most effective bioavailable supplements as close to nature as possible
Right.
to really help fill in the gaps so people can feel their best. So I'm glad that I love hearing that you and your family and your friends are all taking native path products and getting
Yep.
great results. That's awesome.
Every day. Every day. In fact, I was mentioning to the audience last week that I just sent my college age student, my son, down to college, and he brought the creatine with him. He brought the hydrate. He loves the hydrate, and he's a beach volleyball player, so he gets lots of sun. We're going to talk about sun today, by the way. The energy giving life force on the planet, which has gotten a bad rap over the years, which is crazy, but we're going to bust some of those myths today. But he wants to get his whole beach volleyball team on the native path products, which I just think is
Wonderful.
awesome. So
Love it.
he brought down like a whole box full, and I'll be sending him more of that. But let's start. We're going to be talking about creatine a little bit later in the program, because it's not just for muscle heads. Okay, it's for the ladies too.
That's right.
So we'll talk about that. But I do want to talk about sun. There's a lot in the news. About a year ago, I featured a piece from Midwestern Doctor, and it was entitled the dermatological attack on the sun. Right, like
Mhm.
there has been a lot of myth making, I think, on the sun in general and our relationship as human beings, our bodies, to the sun. Everyone's trying to block it. I mean, we even have, when we report on this often in the Shannon Joy Show, blatant now. I mean, geoengineering. We have solar radiation management, which is a big initiative of Bill Gates. And so they're pumping chemicals into the sky to try to white
Mhm.
out the sun, right? And shield us from the sun in order to like reduce global warming, et cetera, et cetera, right? And humans are getting, from all the propaganda, stay out of the sun, never go into the sun, to we don't get it even when we want it. It confuses people. I'd love to spend this first segment just talking about the sun with you, and our relationship as humans with the sun, and why we need to embrace it again, I think. But I'll give it over to you, because I think this is the first building block, a huge component of natural health, right? That sun and exposure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny, like, the more I learn about the sun and how important natural sun exposure is for vitamin D rather than just supplementing and going outside, the more I think it may be the one place where everyone should go, because it's accessible to everybody, and
Right.
almost everybody is not getting enough sun, right? So, and it's true, we have these beliefs. Like, we're told from, like, TV shows and commercials, the sun will give you cancer, and if you go outside, by all means, like, put on SPF 70 so you're okay. And we totally forget that that's a lot of chemicals, and we're under heat, and the skin is the biggest absorber of things on our body, and that might have an impact on us, right? So
Right.
to me, our poor relationship with the sun is really reflective of our disconnection with nature and the things that make us healthy. So, there's an interesting study that came out, I think it's the past 5 years, but they were looking at people in the hospital, and they were comparing people who sat close to the window where the sunlight was coming in versus people who were sitting in rooms without sunlight. And what they found was that people who sit next to the window where there's natural sunlight, on average, by far, get discharged from the hospital much quicker than people who are
Wow.
not
No.
not in the sunlight, right? So that
Wow.
right there shows you, like, okay, it should be part of our healing process that we're looking at if we're looking to get better. But the sun, like, there's absolutely nothing that the sun doesn't benefit you from your bone health to your muscle strength to your immune system to your digestive system to your hormonal health to everything in there, right? And I talked earlier about the changes that have happened in the past 100 years, and our relationship with the sun has drastically changed. So our grandparents, our maybe our great great grandparents, they were outside like all day. They were in
Mhm.
the fields farming. They were breathing natural air. They were probably only inside of the day, maybe 10% of the time. And
Wow.
now in our modern world, we've completely reversed that. Like, we only get maybe 5 to 10% of our time outside if we're lucky, right? So when the sun's up at the most, we're inside under artificial fluorescent lights.
Mm.
And these artificial fluorescent lights really confuse our bodies, right? And then we go home, we watch TV, and we have this huge bright screen, And it's sending these signals to our body, even though it's 9 p.m. at night and the sun is down, it's sending these signals that the sun is still up,
Oh,
right? So we get
wow.
very confused. So a lot of people go to bed and they're watching that bright light and they have these fluorescent lights in their kitchen and the body is completely confused. And when they want to go to bed and they want to get rested, they can't because
Mm.
their hormones are out of whack. And that's the big thing that the sun does is it keeps our hormones in the sort of rhythm that it best operates at, you know. And we have cortisol, which is our daytime hormone, and we have melatonin, which is our nighttime hormone. And ideally, these are kind of inverse throughout the day. When you wake up, that cortisol should spike right up. You should have a lot of energy to go seize the day and do the things and hunt and gather and do all that. And then it should taper off as the day goes on. And as soon as the sun goes down, that melatonin production internally should start producing, and that should help you feel rested and relaxed in order to have rejuvenation and heal and wake up the next day and do it again, right? But most people, if you look at cortisol rhythms, you can test this with your blood and saliva. Most people are exact opposite because of the way we're relating to the sun, right? So most people, when they wake up, their cortisol is like flat throughout the day
Mm.
and they have no energy. So what they do is they artificially give themselves energy with coffee or energy drinks or something like that. And then it stays low. And then right when they when they want to go to bed, it spikes up, right? It
Wild.
just and it completely reverses it, right?
Yeah.
So main point is our hormones really get thrown out of whack when we don't start aligning ourselves with the sun. And you and I touched on this briefly, but it's like how where do we start? What do we do, right? So one of the best things you can do when you wake up and as you rise up, before you even have your morning coffee, is to start going outside or maybe sit on your front porch and look at natural sunlight, even the sky, as the sun's coming up. And that's going to send signals inside of your body to start producing your daytime hormones at the right time, which then in turn helps you sleep the following night. And you do that over and over, and that helps you feel your best. It's one of the most simple things you can do. And there's also a lot of people who, gosh, they have never allowed their skin to see natural sunlight.
It's
You know,
crazy.
they've been blocking it with this sun protection. They're completely pale and white. And I'm like, those people need to progress themselves a lot easier. You want to work up to at least 15 minutes of sun exposure.
Mm.
Even better if it's during the day, like 12, 11 o'clock, if you can get that. But it takes time to build up. But allowing that to come in is what I would call like a needle mover, right?
Mm.
Everything else in your health starts getting better when you start doing that. And again, you can supplement vitamin D all you want, and it's great. I still
Yeah.
recommend supplement with vitamin D, but it does nothing compared to the impact and the absorption that you get from the natural sunlight, the blue light, UV rays, the red
Mm.
light, all of that coming from the natural sun is one of the best things we can do, and it's accessible for everybody, right? So sunlight is a good way to, as we say, get back on the path and start aligning your body, your biology with what it's intended for, doing what your genes are expecting of. It's only in that past 100 years that we've completely flipped the script on the sun, and it's a big part of why we're having such big chronic diseases in the modern world.
Yeah, there's a lot out there in terms of the studies, and I would recommend people take a look at it. It's a long piece, Midwestern Doctor. It's about, I want to say it's 20 pages long, but lots of, I mean, studies. I mean, it is a very well sourced kind of overview of the history. I mean, we've only been doing this whole sunscreen thing for about 100 years or less. Sunglasses, the same thing. I mean, no one wore
Yes.
sunglasses back in the day. And, you know, it's interesting that, as I mentioned, I am a big fan of the sun. I don't wear sunscreen ever, except on my face, but I only use zinc. So I don't use anything with any of the chemicals. And because I'll burn a little bit on the face. But with my youngest son, my first two kids, I did a little bit of sunscreen because just everyone told you to, right? My
Hmm.
last son, Teddy, I like to say the third kid raises themselves. Like they, I don't know. He's like feral.
Yeah.
We never know where he is. We never, you know. And so I was busy, and I just never put sunscreen on the kid ever, never,
Hmm.
not even a little bit. He'd be in the sun all day long, and I can tell you that child. He's 13 now. He has never burned in his life.
Yeah.
Never. He's never burned. I'm like, he does. He gets like kind of a nice color, but he does not get burns. And he's a beach volleyball player too, so he can be in the sun all day. Now, I'm not recommending this to everyone because people have pale skin. I'm very Mediterranean. Like each
Yeah.
person is different in the amount of sun that they can take. But I will say, I attribute all happiness in my life to,
Hmm.
directly related to the amount of sun. And my kids even have mentioned before, they think that they're so happy because they're beach volleyball players because they spend so much time in the sun. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, and I love what you said about sunscreen being kind of like he's never used sunscreen and he's never been burned. In my
Right.
experience, when I was growing up, I would use sunscreen all the time because that's what I was told, and I would get burned all the time. And in the past like 20 years, I've never used sunscreen,
Yeah.
and I've built up my tolerance for the sun. But after this, I will go outside. I'm in Texas. It's 12 o'clock noon.
Yeah.
The sun is right above us. I will walk for an hour with my shirt off, and I
Right.
will not get burned at all one bit, right? And the other thing you talked about with the sunglasses is an important thing too, because that confuses the eyes, which then confuses the entire nervous system and tells the body the sun is down. So like it's not going into really an absorption mode where it's going to have a good relationship with the sun. So we're going to go in the sun, wean into it. Don't just go out there for an hour if you've never done
Right.
it before, but it is important, and it's better to do it without sunscreen, and it's better to do it without sunglasses, and see
Yeah.
how that goes and see how you feel, but work into it at a good progression.
It's interesting. My older son trained himself because he didn't want to bother with sunglasses while he was playing. So he stopped wearing sunglasses. And now he can play all day beach
Uh-huh.
volleyball without even wearing sunglasses because his eyes are trained now. And so he doesn't, so it's just interesting. It's just such an interesting dynamic. What about the end of the night? Because do you have a recommendation for everyone in terms of the electronics and the screens and like that artificial light that is coming in? I mean, should we just turn everything off at like 6 o'clock or 7? Or how would you recommend people
Yeah.
eased into starting that natural production of melatonin? By the way, native path has all of these things that you guys need.
Yeah.
But what would you say about the nighttime routine?
So the nighttime routine, it is better to not have screens like at least an hour or 2 hours before you go to bed if you can do that. But if you are going to have a screen on, if you're going to watch TV once the sun has come down, it's a good idea to use nighttime glasses, like
Okay.
the blue light blocking glasses. So I've used Swannies for a long time. Those are really
Okay.
nice. You can get on Amazon for I think SWANNIES. But that's a great way that you can block all the light coming in that's interfering with your brain and confusing it that the sun is still up. It won't do that. Basically, it
Okay.
keeps you from doing that and allows you to have a good night's sleep. And I notice a huge difference with that. Like if my
Okay.
wife's wanting to watch a show and I don't have those glasses, I'm like, okay, I'll watch it. It is just night and day in terms of how fast I fall asleep and the quality of my sleep when I do sleep and how I feel when I wake
Okay.
up.
Okay. I have a question from the live chat, Strident Conservative. Hey, David Leach, great to see you. There was someone on Bill Maher this past week that said we should actually look at the sun every morning for
Mhm.
better health. And he asks, is that right? And yeah, that's what you were just saying. That's probably the best way to get started, right? Is that morning sun?
Yeah. Yeah, again, that's another one that we have to progress into. A
Mhm.
lot of people's eyes, because we've been wearing sunglasses, it can be really harmful. But people, and I've built up to this myself, where you keep looking at it for 10, 20 minutes in the morning. When the sun is, especially if you have like a balcony and you're high up and you can really see a low sun, and
Oh,
you can
yeah.
watch that as it comes up, it does incredible things for boosting all of the hormones I was talking about, like boosting cortisol, but also like the hormones the things that make you happy, the
Yeah.
neurotransmitters,
Yeah.
serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin. That they found that sun exposure now is it has impacts on improving symptoms of Alzheimer's, right? So there's things that start waking up in the brain and start connecting once we get that sun exposure. So looking at it is good, but that's kind of like next level. Let's progress our way into that, you
Sure.
know. But it's a good question, and something I recommend, even like if you want to do pulses, like just look away, look away, and just wean
Okay.
yourself into it. The dose is important.
Okay, Diog99 has a question. How much exposure is too much for the sun? Personally, I figure my body will tell me if I'm getting a little pink or a burn, that's my signal. But what would you say in terms of too much sun? Is
I
there
would say
such
that's the
a
same thing,
Magda?
right?
Yeah, right, right.
Right, because it's going to be different for everybody. Like I mentioned, I can go out in the sun for an hour, and I know I'm good with that because I built up to that over years and years. But someone else, just getting started, it may be like 2 minutes, of full skin sun exposure. There may be parts of their skin that has never even seen the sun at
Mhm.
all, right? There's a lot of a
Crazy.
lot of like that's
Yeah.
going on. So we've got to wean into that very gently and then repeat it over and over. That's the important thing is like you don't want to never see the sun and then go out to the beach on the weekend for 3 hours and then get burnt and be like, see, I told you so. Like I'm burnt. It's not good. you gotta wean into it. And if you're going
Yeah.
to be in a situation where you are at the beach for 3 hours, then it's a good time to cover yourself up. Like put towels over your legs, like wear long sleeve shirts, wear a hat that covers yourself, and
Right.
then occasionally throughout the day, take that off and then get some sun exposure, but
Yeah.
then go back. Right? It's the main rule is like you said. If you're getting burned, if you're getting hot, if you're getting pink, if it's getting itchy or anything like that, then it's too much.
Okay. All right. Mama C 1996 had this to say, I think my vision has improved from getting rid of sunglasses. Have you ever
Isn't that
heard
great?
that? That's amazing.
Oh, I hear that all the time. And I mean, this is another one of my theories about why we have such bad eyesight in our culture is that we're not exposing our eyes to natural sunlight enough, but also we're not looking far enough. In other words, like
Oh,
we're
okay.
staying in close quarters inside of an office or inside of a house where the furthest we're looking, like if I look I'm looking at 10 feet away. And that may be the
Mm,
farthest thing I look at all day if I stay inside all the time. But if I
right.
go outside and if I look at a hill really far away and I really focus on it, my eye muscles are they're starting to work really, really hard in order to focus on that. And it's just like going to
Really?
the gym where
Yeah.
you put resistance on your muscles, right? It's the same thing for your eyes. It's one of the best things we can do is go outside during the day and start looking far, far away and just really focus on it. And you'll notice kind of a strain, but it's like
Mhm.
it's muscles in your eyes working, right?
That's
So
wild.
yeah. I mean, the same thing when you put on the sunglasses, you're putting something in half an inch in front of your eyes. So it's very confusing to the eyes, and it's blocking
Okay.
that natural sunlight. So all of this kind of speaks to adaptability. Our
Mhm.
eyes, our body, all of it adapts according to the environment we put ourselves in. And generally, the answers are go back to like the way humans have been doing it for a long, long, long time because we're still
Right.
here, and those are proven principles that were good then, and they'll be good hundreds of years from now.
Yeah. This is why I love talking to you because it really these are kind of foundational principles. It makes a lot of common
Yeah.
sense to
Right.
me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And good.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's right. It is common sense. It's just like forgotten information,
Right.
and a lot of wrong information that's, as we say, gotten us off the path.
Right, right. Well, and right now you guys see the link under savewithNativePath.com/joy, savewithnativepath.com/joy. I'd love to keep that one for just my show and just put all my stuff up there. But right
There
now
we go.
there's a 54% off deal for creatine, which is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And I want to start this conversation with you because indeed, I mean, there's a big, big debate right now about menopause and the use of hormone replacement therapy. Our dear friend, Dr. Naomi Wolf, recently had Kelly Victory on
Mm,
her show, and they had a little discussion about HRT, hormone replacement therapy, or to not HRT. And this is for women who are menopausal. And I can tell you all, by the way, I'm menopausal. Okay. So it's official. I'm not even 50 yet. I'm 48 years old. Uh, Started last February, Dr. Chad. I thought I was pregnant. I literally thought I was pregnant. I'm
yeah.
like, why am I, And now it's been, I don't know if this is too much information for the audience, but so I have been grappling with this. Creatine is one of those things I had never thought about when it comes to helping with the hormones. Okay,
Uh-huh.
the ups and the downs and the hot flashes and that type of thing. We only have about 5 minutes left in the show, 6 minutes, but maybe we can get started on a conversation about menopause and women and aging and the hormones and talk a little bit about how creatine, I mean, collagen helps too. The native path collagen has been a lifesaver. But what are your thoughts on these debates and how we have changed the way we think about women very naturally moving into a period of time in their life where they don't have children anymore? I
Right.
think sometimes we overthink it. What are your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are like, what is the natural thing to do, right? Like, and we sometimes intervene, and we don't ask ourselves why is this a little more painful or not as smooth as it should go? And generally, that's our diet and lifestyle and things like that.
Right, right.
Um, But regarding creatine, I grew up as a college athlete, and I wanted to be bigger and stronger and faster, and that's when I first started taking creatine, right? And it was great. I was like, this is amazing, and me and my gym bros and CrossFit guys, we were all doing it, and like this is wonderful. But it turns out like it is creatine is not just for gym bros. It's not just for men. It's also incredibly beneficial for women And not only that, it's incredibly beneficial for women as they age. And it really helps with a lot of the challenges that women face when they age. And somehow this naturally became like the big demographic that we working with native path, right? And that's why we came out with collagen for a lot of the things it can do for a woman as she ages. But creatine is right there with it. And I would say it's a miracle supplement in many ways. It's one of the best things you can do for your strength. And basically, that's what creatine does. It puts energy into your muscles. And you mentioned the hormone issues that women face when they get older, whether it's perimenopause or menopause itself. There's these huge fluctuations in what's going on with the hormones. And what it does, what the studies are showing, is it helps to stabilize those fluctuations. It stabilizes the cellular energy production. So there is less volatility going on around the periods of perimenopause and menopause. And the studies that have been done on creatine with women, it shows they report better sleep, steadier moods, more sustained energy. So it's really good signs that good things are happening with the body, women, probably men and women too, once they start supplementing with creatine on a regular basis.
What would you say would a regular basis be? Would you take it along? Would I take it along with collagen, or would I alternate them, or how? Because
Yeah,
there's
that's
so
a
many
good
good
question.
things. I never know, like, where should I place this and how long should I be on it? And what would your recommendation be for that? Because I'm
That's
going
a
to try
great
it.
question.
Yeah.
So first thing, it is a daily supplement. It is
Okay.
best taken daily. It is not
Okay.
something that you want to cycle on or cycle off.
Okay.
It's not something that a lot of people, there's some myths around it. A lot of people think you need to have like this big loading phase where you take 20 grams for like 5 to 7 weeks. That's not necessarily the case at all.
Okay.
A lot of those studies were done way back in the 90s on gym bros, and they're trying to cram as much information as they could. But really, it's an everyday thing, and it goes extremely well in your morning coffee. You can put it in there with creatine.
Great.
I love mixing it with the hydrate, and I typically put 1 scoop of hydrate and 1 scoop of creatine in there
Okay.
during the workout, and then I'll have another one after the workout. So I generally take about 10 to 15 grams a day, and that's a good recommendation for most people.
Okay.
5 grams is going to be beneficial for your muscles, and we know that muscles are really important for our function as we age.
Yeah.
Anything above that, it then goes to the benefits of the brain, your cognition, your memory. There's incredible science coming out that creatine is beneficial for depressive type symptoms. It's
Mm.
beneficial for Alzheimer's type symptoms. My dad, he recently went through 20 rounds of radiation because he has prostate cancer. And I can tell, like his brain is not the same. Like
Yeah.
he kind of stops, right? So the first thing I'm having him do is up his creatine dosage to 15, 20 grams a day. And that's really the signs that
Okay.
that's where the science shows it really improves the cognition and the memory. And he's already getting good results from that. And it
Okay.
happens pretty quickly. Like I said, it's not something that like you need to take 30 grams and get the results. It can happen pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's exciting. And then we have creatine on special right now. So savewithnativepath.com/joy. They're doing 56. They always show up. That's the other thing I love about Native Path. For this audience, you guys show up with the best prices and the best packaging. 56% off right now if you want to try the creatine. Add it to your hydrate every day. That's what my son does, by the way. He
Wonderful.
uses the hydrate plus the creatine every day, and I'm going to start trying that as well. You're all making fun of me about my hot flashes. Okay, it's true. We can talk about this one. I want to talk about. There's so much more to talk about though with menopause. I'd love to have you on again
Yeah.
sooner rather than later to do another 20, 30 minutes on that, because I have a lot to say about it. A
Okay.
lot
Yeah,
to say
let's do
about
it.
it. And I had a
Great.
long conversation with Naomi because they were trying,
Oh,
like,
wonderful.
the first thing everyone's trying to get me to go on hormone replacement therapy. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've got a nice little homeostasis here, right? Like I've
Right.
got a couple hot flashes, but this is not too bad. Like I don't want to go messing everything up. So we had a long conversation about it. And I love what she had to say. So I think that hopefully we can get you on. I know you're so busy, but I'd love to
That's
have
all
you
good.
on.
Yeah, no, I'd love to talk about that. I
Okay.
mean, finishing up on creatine,
Yeah.
one thing that all the people ask me is like, is it safe? Right? Because
Oh,
there's a myth in the background. Like, is it I heard it's harmful for my kidneys. I heard it's harmful for my liver. I heard it's only for men, things
yeah.
like that. And it's important to know that creatine is extremely safe. Right?
Okay.
We would not do it if it wasn't. It is one of the most well-researched supplements over the past 20 years. And there has
Okay.
been long, lengthy studies of people who have been taking creatine every day for 5 years, and it's
Wow.
shown no harmful effects to the liver, to the kidney, to the heart. It's completely safe. So I just want everybody to feel good about that, because
Yeah.
it's something that, like, we came on creatine. My aunts and uncles are texting me like, "Is it safe? Are you sure?" I'm like,
Okay,
I
because
promise
you
you, it's
you
safe."
you begin to think of, like, those big muscly guys that are
Right.
on, like, steroids, like Alex
Right.
Jones.
Right.
That's what you think it's like it's just like these roid raging muscle guys,
Right.
and then you link that to creatine. I don't know how creatine got linked to that,
Right.
but it somehow did. So I'm glad that you said that. I'm glad that
Yeah.
you mentioned that. And we'll like listen as we move forward, and I'm going to start doing the creatine as well. I'll let you guys know how I feel. But when we'll have you on again to talk about that. But that's great information. We're long, of course. It's 1:34. Got to wrap up the show. But anything else you want to let the audience know where they can go, and any kind of takeaway from our session today?
Well, try the creatine.
Yeah,
I recommend everybody try it for like at least 8 weeks. I would say give yourself a good test. And the other thing is start going in the sun, like we talked about earlier. Like these are little things that have a huge impact to your health and your well-being. And once you start testing these things out and you notice the changes for yourself, then it's like you've done your own study.
that's
Like you
awesome.
you already know. And then we just go on to the next thing and get in the gym and drink water. And that's what it's all about, right? We just have to
Yeah.
keep going. So
Okay, you're the best. Love Native Path. Love that company. I really do. You're awesome. I'd like to get you in this month again, maybe in the next 3 weeks or so, and we'll continue these
great.
conversations. But as always, we're so thankful for you and for Native Path. Save with nativepath.com/joy right now for the 56% off the creatine. These are usually limited time, so make sure you get it today. Dr. Chad, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. I love
All
being
right.
here.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for being with us today on the Shannon Joy Show. We're going to be back tomorrow, as I mentioned. Big lineup of guests this week and a surprise guest with a big announcement this Wednesday. So do not miss the Wednesday live shows. I see all of your questions. Opossum King, Karen Carpenter, CJP Rumble. We will get to those questions tomorrow. I'll make sure I get Dr. Chad in again. You guys are great. Thank you. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow right here on the Shannon Joy Show.